Hello, and welcome to this month's sales tip, the sales tip for August 2019. And today, this afternoon, you find me outside enjoying the sunshine. And haven't we had a great summer this year? You know, we've had record-breaking temperatures here in the UK and indeed throughout Europe. And at times, it's been really difficult, has it not, to stay cool? Which has provided the inspiration for this month's tip, which is all about how to stay cool during your sales meetings, be they face-to-face or be they over the telephone if you're in internal sales. And by cool, I don't necessarily mean temperature-wise, although clearly that helps, but I mean how to stay cool, calm, collected, in control, in short, professional. Because that's an awful lot better than appearing rushed, nervous, uncomfortable, harried, because that will certainly detract from your ability to achieve the sale, and it can even erode your position in advance of negotiations. So the focus for this month is how to stay cool during your sales meetings. 5 ideas, 5 tips, and the first tip is all about when you're in reception, where there's often some lovely comfy seating where you can put your feet up. Well, it might be comfortable, but this doesn't look particularly cool, does it? And moreover, your customer comes out to meet you and hello. Sometimes it's not easy to get up either. Which is why my recommendation is when you're in reception, remain standing up. For one thing, it looks more professional. It looks like you're in more control. Moreover, you're probably hearing me sound a little bit different now. And the reason for that is when you stand up, you're able to project your voice more powerfully from the base of your lungs. So even if it's something very simple that you say to begin with, like, good morning, it means 2 things. Number 1, the customer has heard you project your voice in a confident manner, and that sends a very positive first impression. And maybe just as importantly, you've heard yourself sound confident to get the ball rolling, and that will inspire you to further confident communication from there. And then, once you're inside the meeting, tip number 2 is about an important aspect of listening skills, and that is ask questions to clarify. Now, clearly, this is very much in keeping with the theme of this month's tip, which is stay cool, show that you're in control. And it's just as relevant to internal sales when you're working over the telephone as it is to face-to-face discussions. So listen carefully to what customers are saying, and don't be at all shy or reserved about asking further questions to probe in and better understand what they're communicating to you. For example, when they've outlined a requirement, ask, well, how relevant is that to the rest of the management team? How big a priority is that compared to the issue we were talking about earlier? And asking questions like that is important for 2 reasons. One is clearly it gives you a better picture and a better understanding, but probably just as, or maybe even more importantly, is it conveys to the customer that you have a passion and a care to understand properly the needs and requirements that they have. Which moves me on to tip number 3, which is all about big things that bears have got on the end of their legs. Which are, of course, pause. With apologies for the play on words. But you know, when communicating with customers, if we want to show that we're calm, we're professional, we're in control, we're cool, then leave a short pause between when they finish speaking and when you begin to speak. It's particularly important, by the way, to do that after a question, because it shows that you're listening carefully. There's a kind of broad rule of thumb, about a 1.5-2 second pause is appropriate, but that's when you're communicating, working with people in meetings face to face. For those of you who are involved with internal sales over the telephone, I'd say compact that space in time a little bit. When you're face to face, you've got lots of body language working for you, so there's nods, people can see via your body language that you're thinking. When you're on the telephone, nobody can see that, so there's just a silence. So a pause that big face to face kind of needs to be about that big when you're on the telephone. Which leads me nicely onto tip number 4, and that is, when we get nervous, we tend to speak a little bit faster. And when we speak a little bit faster, it communicates to customers maybe we're not that comfortable, maybe we're not that calm, maybe we're not that cool. So watch your pace when you're communicating. Keep it calm and in control. Now, the tip really is about a reminder that you can give yourself to do this. For those of you who take meeting books along with you to face-to-face meetings, they're great for taking notes, of course, but the other thing they can be used for is stage tips, reminders about how to conduct yourself during the meeting. So if you have a tendency to begin to speed up partway through the meeting, if you begin to get a little bit nervous, and we all do, let's be honest about that from time to time, it's quite appropriate in advance to write on the top of the page as a little reminder, slow down. For those of you who are in internal sales, there's no reason why you can't do the same for yourself, but I guess you haven't got a meeting book, so why not just put a sticky note on the screen in front of you as that little prompt. So there are 4 tips, which brings me nicely onto the final tip, tip number 5, which is summarise. Not only at the end of the conversation, but ongoing all the way through. And that's for 3 reasons. First of those is it ensures you've understood exactly what the customer or prospect has been trying to convey. Secondly, it shows that you care that you've understood what the customer or prospect has been trying to convey. And of course, it also gives you thinking time. And that's a great way to ensure that you retain a feeling of being in control, which helps you to retain your coolness during the conversation. So there we go. 5 ideas, 5 tips so that you can stay cool during your sales meetings. And I guess I better practice what I preach and summarise before finishing. So number 1, don't sit down in reception, stay standing. Number 2, feel really comfortable about asking further questions to clarify what has been said. Number 3, pause, control that pace. Number 4, stage tips. Write those reminders either in your meeting notebook or maybe on a sticky that you can put around the screen in front of you. And finally, number 5, summarise, not only at the end of the conversation, but all the way through. So, there we go. Hope you've enjoyed the tips for August 2019. I'm not sure whether next month it's going to be quite as sunny as this. I doubt it. And as a bonus this month, I've got one final extra tip for you, and that is if you are in the garden, if you are enjoying the sunshine and you want to stay cool, what I would strongly recommend is a very nice fruit juice or a cocktail. And of course, where would we be? If we didn't have some ice to go with it. Cheers, look forward to seeing you next month.